How is your life? If your life is okay, then I guess you'll be happy with it. If you think it's just a whole shit show, then you're probably not. But the interesting thing is that whether it's okay or it's a shit show, that was the only thing it was ever going to be. So it's okay. Whether you're a saint or a sinner, it's fine. Whether you are a murderer or a charity worker, there's never going to be any other way. I'm not just saying these things out of the blue. I want to try and tie together fairly quickly the work of Spinoza, Schopenhauer, and something that was or is part of the Bhagavad Gita. It's Krishna's conversation with Arjuna. But I'll get onto that in a moment. So you can see a quote by Spinoza. If you haven't studied Spinoza, then you're missing out. Spinoza gives you the understanding to understand your life. If you understand it, then you'll have more power in your life. Anyway, let me read this quote. Nobody can desire to be happy, to do well and to live well, without at the same time desiring to be, to do and to live. That is, actually to exist. This is proposition 21, I think, from part 4 of his ethics. There are some important words in there. This is not going to be a long podcast, so I'm not going to elaborate a great deal. But anybody who's familiar with the Gurdjieff work, and in fact various traditions, will know that the two words, to be, to desire to be, are very important. We all desire to be, whether you like it or not, whether you think your life is a whole pile of shit. You still desire to be because you're still here, you're still eating food, you're still sleeping, you're still doing whatever is required to maintain the existence of your body and your mind. As I say, even if it is a shit show, it's okay. Even if you are a hopeless addict, it's fine. It was never going to be any other way. The universe is as it is. And as Spinoza says elsewhere in his ethics, the universe manifests all level, or all manner of things. It doesn't just manifest saints, clearly. So, desiring to be and to do. We think we're doing when we're busy going to work, fixing some plumbing, whatever it is that you do or you consider doing. This is not doing. That's just mechanical stuff. To be able to do, you have to be. And to be, you have to understand and you have to have awareness. As I say, deep stuff, but short podcast. And to live. That is actually to exist. Now, Schopenhauer sort of says the same thing about a number of things that I've just mentioned. Not in the same way. He says that in terms of human beings, there are all manner of human beings. From the brute to the sage. We don't determine that, we're born that way. And we can't fight against it. Again, to quote Spinoza, a cat cannot decide it's going to be a lion. So, if we're born one way, that is the way we are. But we can be conscious of how we are. We can understand it. There's another layer to our existence. But, you know, that's difficult stuff, and so not many people are going to be interested in it. They're just going to sit around complaining or rejoicing in their good fortune or whatever happens to be their lot. So, Schopenhauer says that all manner of character, he uses the word character, it's a term today that has a more superficial meaning. For Schopenhauer, character was the very essence of a person. You know, are they a compulsive liar? Is that what is at the essence of them? Are they a compulsive cheat, or are they compulsively compassionate? Again, we don't decide these things. We just happen to be born with these traits. But let me get on to this picture of Krishna talking to Arjuna. Now, I've put a link below. There's a very, very beautiful excerpt from a film produced by Peter Brooks called the Mahabharata. Every line is full of wisdom. You know, if you want to understand that, then just set aside 5 minutes every day for the rest of your life, and maybe you'll understand it by the time you get to old age. Then again, maybe not. Anyway, the problem for Arjuna is that he has to go into battle. You can see flags and things in the background. There are two forces set up against each other, and Arjuna knows the whole thing is going to be a massacre for both sides. And he's kind of pleading and seeking advice from Krishna. Krishna basically just says, this is your lot. And your lot is to do. He actually uses the word to act, but it's the same thing. And it doesn't matter how much you complain about life, how much you think it's a raw deal or whatever, you still continue to do or to act, albeit, for most people, mechanically, without any awareness. The aim of all understanding is to simply be aware of what we are and what we do, not to try and change it, just to be aware of it. You know, to do that we need to drop a whole load of crap that we've learned in life, but that's another story. Anyway, so Arjuna has this problem, and Krishna just tells him. You know, he says, to do, to be what you are, to act, to fulfill your duty. Now, duty is a kind of horrible word, but you are fulfilling your duty. You're eating, you're doing whatever you do. That is your duty. You might not like to see it as a duty, but that's what you're doing. And so he sort of lets Arjuna into some secrets. And at the end of the session, Arjuna sees that his lot is to fight this battle that involves the massacre of thousands of men. And he sees that that is the nature of life, that there is destruction as well as creation, and destruction is just part of the cycle. So Spinoza says pretty much the same thing. We just live as we live. We live according to what we are. The only difference between two people is that one will do it mechanically, unconsciously, and one may do it consciously, and there's no praise or blame involved in any of it, since we don't determine what we are. Schopenhauer says we're born with different levels of character, and he also says, along with Spinoza, that there is no free will. We are determined things, and our actions are determined. And again, we can either do that unconsciously, or we can observe it and do it consciously. But it's still the same actions. And this is what Krishna is effectively saying to Arjuna. So the same old, and of course, for those who are familiar with the Gurdjieff tradition, and Peter Brooks was heavily involved in the Gurdjieff tradition, the guy who produced the film, there's a similar message. To be, to do, to exist. So, throughout the ages, the traditions have been saying the same thing. The problem for us is that our day-to-day activity is largely unconscious. In reality, the best we can do is probably spend, 15 minutes trying to be a bit more conscious of what we're doing, just to observe what we're doing. Anyway, that's that. There is the link below to the Mahabharata clip. Very beautiful. I suggest you look at it if you're interested. And I will say that anybody who wants to get into this in quite a lot of depth should just have a look at the Patreon channel that I do. Anyway, I hope that sort of adds some new dimensions for you, or new things you can explore. Because, as it says somewhere, I think it's in the Bible, in Proverbs maybe, that wisdom is shouting from the rooftops, but nobody is listening.